Hey yo, your friendly neighborhood quarter guy here, and well, this has been an interesting week for the Switch news. First off, the system being shown on public TV for the first time on late-night television, on the same night that Super Mario Run was being demoed, no less. And we also got a pretty interesting rumor that actually seems plausible at this point. Seeing GameCube games on the Switch's Virtual Console. Now this seems like a very exciting prospect. Now at least a few people were wanting to see this on the Wii U, but there was probably one big thing that was preventing it from being possible. Mainly, you see these triggers on the back of the Wii U gamepad? They're not analog. And the GameCube pretty much introduced analog trigger buttons to gaming, as far as I know. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. But among the first 3 rumored GameCube games available for the Switch's Virtual Console will be Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Smash Bros. Melee. The last of them is particularly significant because Melee enjoys a huge competitive scene even to this day. I mean, especially with Melee fans wanting most attention, even trying to get it away from Smash 4, though in my opinion that's completely counterproductive, to be honest. Oh boy. But the point is, Melee still enjoys a huge fan base to this day, and seeing it on the Switch would be pretty interesting, and probably tide people over until the actual Switch Smash game eventually comes out, whether it's a port of the Wii U Smash or a new Smash entry altogether. I'm not really sure which one it's going to be at this point, to be honest. But it does open the door quite a bit for more GameCube classics to show up on the Switch. I'm personally hoping to see Custom Robo on the Switch again, even though I actually have the GameCube version of it. I just want to see a new Custom Robo game, to be honest. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be true or not, but if it is, I'm going to be all for it. Next up, now that I'm back on streaming and I'm looking at more games, including the Fightcade Mystery Box, of which I hope to keep going. Meanwhile, I've got my rough draft completed for the countdown, and I'm going to start editing on it pretty soon. Hopefully I'll have it up by Christmas. And as far as Patreon goes, yeah, the reason I keep my Patreon up, even though I have a full-time job now, is that with YouTube's algorithm constantly changing and trying to be more like the next TV, it's getting harder for smaller content creators like me to stay quote-unquote relevant. And that's why I count on the support from fans like you. Though I have gotten a few troll patrons who have made pledges and not followed through on them, including people who I've added to Skype groups only for them to drop their pledges before the first payment comes in. That's why I've started waiting for people to actually pay their pledges before I add them to any of my Skype groups. Also, Patreon has recently added a new feature. A feature that allows creators to charge up front for the first pledge for patrons. And I think that this feature is a good idea because it discourages troll patrons. I mean, if you're not going to commit, if you're not willing to pay the pledge, don't commit if you're not going to follow up with it, follow through with it. Alright, for my question of the week this week, are there any games you'd like to see on the Fightcade Mystery Box? As always, favorite comments featured in the next episode. Here are last week's winners. And with that, time for the fourth wall mailbag. As always, to send me a question, if you're on a web browser, go to my YouTube channel, click the About tab, click the Send Message button, and I'll answer my favorite ones in the next episode. First question this week comes from JM, aka JokerJ779, who asks, thought about ever trying the Danganronpa series? Well, to be honest, I am somewhat curious about it. I might try it at some point. I mean, a bunch of people I follow on Twitter and some of my friends have quite a bit of an interest in Danganronpa. They're big fans of it. I see quite a few characters on their Twitter feeds every so often. So, from what I understand it, good. I might try it at some point. Not sure when. Next question comes from Santiago Scarpino, who asks, if Capcom made Mega Man X9, what do you think the storyline would be about? Well, for the storyline, I'm probably thinking it's gonna pick up where X8 left off with Axel's fate unknown. I'm thinking it's probably gonna end up being X and Zero trying to find a way to save Axel because, judging from the ending of X8 with Axel having that shard embedded in his forehead, and the fact that White Axel is an alternate costume in X8, I've got a feeling that Axel isn't exactly in the best of shape. So I figure that if there's a storyline for X9, it's probably going to involve that. That is, if it ever happens. Capcom. Next question comes from Snazzy Jazzbro, who asks, what are your thoughts on the trailer of Shovel Knight's Spectre of Torment? Holy crap, that was a good trailer. I mean, the style of gameplay for Spectre Knight looks pretty awesome. The fact that it's actually going to be a prequel to the game's events is interesting, and we might actually get a bit more background for the whole story as a whole, which I find to be pretty awesome. Also, it reminds me that I'm going to need to finish League of Shadows quickly. And then there's Shantae Half Genie Hero with backer codes already coming out. Next question comes from Denzel Rosier, who asks, are you happy now that Sun and Moon gave us a Dark-type gym leader? Well, yeah, that was pretty interesting. Though, to be honest, the grand trial for that one, for the Dark-type Kahuna, kind of came out of nowhere. I would have thought there would have been some build-up for that, but the police officer with crippling depression, as it seems, it's like, when we're about to head for a certain point in the game, he just, shows up and he's like, hey, I'm the Kahuna. I'm the Dark-type user. Wanna fight? And I would have thought there'd be a little bit more build up to that. Just not coming out at the point where it did. Maybe just a little more build up would have been nice, but hey, Dark-type Kahuna. Closest we've gotten to an actual Dark-type gym leader, and is essentially a Dark-type gym leader himself. So, all for that. Last question this week comes from Mitch Katrensky, who asks, what is your reaction to The Last of Us Part 2 trailer? I'll say it before and I said it again. Ellie looks hardened as shit.